situation, you find that 80% of the problems are caused by 20% of
people in the residence.
Mostly, so that if we were to say fix the education thing, I think most of the issues would go down. But of course, that's a long-term goal.
Yeah, I think you have to give them opportunities.
But I mean, it can change. It can change fairly quickly because Homewood is 1 square mile. So in this particular community, we could do some things with our 2,100 children, and people would say, "Oh my God, how'd you do that?" If we got people to come back out onto their front porches as opposed to receding into their houses. If we got folk to come out to community meetings as opposed to saying, man, ain't nothing gonna change. If we had 200 kids at the college fair across the street as opposed to going to shoot hoops, because YMCA is having a college fair over at the branch today. We need to have a conversation with our children, and it's not a lot of children. I was principal of about 1,400 student high school in Michigan. I knew all those kids, and I knew what to do with those children. So the challenge is really sort of the adults becoming adults again and saying this is what we demand. Because if we can become adults again and say these are the various areas in which we're going to act, then our kids will follow. But if we're not adults, if we are scared and we retreat into our own homes or into our own jobs every day, then the Thundercats are going to run the streets. And then we will be captive in our own houses. And so I just really look forward to the next steps in this because I can be a partner in this. I don't know this. I can be a partner and sort of give my thought work. But then there's an education piece which we have a partner. And then there's an economic development piece with which we have to think about. So all those things are important. And I think this is one nugget that we can chew today and over the next several months.
So we will be coming back together in about 2 weeks. Hopefully we'll have some law enforcement that will join us in the circle, and then we'll start moving forward from there.
Yeah, I think we should send a survey out to each home to find out, who our allies are and what, like you said, so we can get organized on how to really be effective. Mm-hmm. Send out to the survey, what do you think about, how many children are in your home or whatever.
So we are in Operation Better Block. We already do surveys like that.
Yeah.
And so we are doing various different areas. So we're not trying to do all of Homewood all at once. So we're doing different clusters is what we call it. So we just kind of surveyed the Rosedale area. Our next area would be up in Homewood North. We plan to survey residents in 3 or 4 areas this summer.
Well, give me some, because I go door to door.
Well, our staff does it because we do a lot of analyzing with the information. Oh, okay. But we'll continue to so this is not going to, so this group, once we get it moving, will not be just a group where we come together and talk. Then you will be going out and talking to your neighbors about bringing them in to this. So everyone will have a role in that, and there will be nothing too small to do. I've seen ladies who decided that you were selling drugs down the street from my church on Liverpool and Sedgwick, and those ladies, 7 of them, every day, rain, snow, whatever, came out on that corner and prayed on that corner every night. And those young men got tired of praying. They went away, right? And those ladies stopped coming. And those guys thought they was going to come back. And as soon as they showed up, the ladies showed back up on the corner and started praying again. And they, and they said, you are not going to sell drugs on this corner with a school here and our church right there. That's not going to happen. That's right. And so it's all those little things that we can come up with that we can do to just start, to really have some kind of impact.
Really quick friendly amendment. One of the things that happened in high school when I was a teacher was that we said the adults have to be visible in the lives of kids. Yes. Because right now the adults are invisible to the children. And so when I was a teacher, they knew they couldn't cuss walking by my classroom. And so, as local as a classroom, we can't cuss, but they would literally say stuff like that. They would be walking down the hallway, and all of a sudden they just mute themselves as they got to about 3 doors down from me, and they walk past, and then they get to the steps and they start cussing again. Yeah. And I said, one of the things that's crazy is that the other adults in the hallway have to become present as well. And so then we became a hallway where we didn't do any of that stuff. Exactly. And then you become a school when you don't do any of that stuff. Yeah. And so I think one of the things is that as the adults become more present, like the women who are the church members on that corner, the kids then will modify their behaviors. Because we have to set a standard that literally will allow them to grow into the men and women that we want them to become, and that we know that they can become.
Right.
But they will go to the water level if we don't allow them, or if we don't give them the standard that we want them to adhere to.
I've gone on those corners and talked with each individual selling drugs, and I've told them, I've gone day after day. I said, I know God has something better for you. Why don't you give God a chance? I said, you've tried this. How's this working for you? I know you just came home. I said, you're just going to go back. What do you want to do? And I have done this with each individual until they have either changed their life. And one day, the young man, every time I saw him, pull over and talk to him, he's like, would you leave me alone? I said, no, because God has something for you. And then I said, I think you're supposed to be in music. And about 6 months later, he gave me a CD with the most awesome lyrics. And he had put a Gangster for God song in there, and he had a letter to God about a young man with a child and how to struggle in the community. But what I'm saying is that I have witnessed time and time again these young people who have changed their lives from me just nagging them, because I noticed that when I got into them, their home structure was none, the love they received from anyone was none, the understanding, none, anyone to talk to them about their problem, none, and most of them walk around with so much anger from being born into a situation that they had no choice. And I noticed that if you just take out some time and with compassion, they come around. They have told me, Auntie, we don't want to carry guns, but if we don't, what are we to do? If we get caught with a gun, we go to jail. If we don't have a gun, we get killed. We are scared to death out here. We don't like these guns. We don't like what's going on. When I told them I was going to start a Bible study at the Y, they were like, when are you going to start it? Anything to get us out the streets. I want to know who God is. No one ever told me about God. So in today's age, we assume a lot, but they don't have it. They have never been to church. A lot of them have no people in the house. They raise their brothers and sisters. And I'm just saying that if you go one-on-one or just take an interest in the community, in these people, they're human beings too, you will get the response you want. You will get them back, because right now they're lost.
She became visible again. You actually became visible in the lives of the children, and then also you gave them humanity again. See, part of what the challenge is that we're invisible to them, and then we dehumanize them.
Yeah, I listen to churches, and I listen to people say, well, those people on the corner, we need to put them all in jail. They all need to go somewhere. And these are the same people I've just had in my home for dinner, or the ones that I call my babies, and I'm listening to them like, are you kidding me?
And so, but that's a relationship, Reverend Randy, and that's the point, though, is that's that relationship. The fact that you actually became visible to them, and then you humanized them, that meant that you have a relationship with them, and you said, you know what, you are valuable. And I think one of the things that doesn't happen is that we don't tell our kids that they are valuable and show them by spending time in relationships with them. And so that is the issue in school. That is the issue in our community. That is the issue when we don't humanize, when we don't grow their humanity and we just call them a statistic, or we don't love and nurture them, then we are actually going to get what we get.
And it's not just the kids too, because as you're talking Reverend Powers, I'm reminded of Miss Val. She's one of the women that hangs out at the corner, and and she I think sometimes we become so desensitized to the corner, that we do, and I forget how, but she ended up at our office sometime last year, and I started having a conversation with her, and she still is at the corner, but because of this relationship that I've cultivated with her and my colleague Demi, she'll come to us and she asks for bags and gloves, and and there's no judgments. We don't approach it from a place of judging. I do speak to her about some of the activities that she's engaged in, and I do encourage her, please, stay safe out here. But she will get and she's middle-aged, and she comes in and she requests bags and gloves, and she will go around and she'll clean up her area, and she'll get the other guys in the corners to clean up too. And it's about that personal contact, because now she feels like there's someone that actually acknowledges that she is a person, you know,
with
and that's the
some
same thing
good-
that you've done, you know.
Something.
And the other interesting thing about that is that now, because she does that, even though there's a lot of criminal activity that's going on up there, and she's always asking for money, right? Now the guys up on the block, they pay her. to keep the area
That's what I'm
looking
talking
clean.
about. That's the seat I'm
Now
talking
we
about.
know
see
that
that.
that's kind of a little
All of these,
Right.
that's the seat I'm
However,
talking about.
But it started
but what
with
it
that.
says is that they want to clean the
All of
neighborhood.
them. If you get them started with the dialogue and you go back to them, gangster or not, they will do anything you want done. I say, please stop selling stuff on the corner. You know this is illegal. You need to take this somewhere and go get a job. Who told you this is proper? Do you know this is saying I want to go to jail? I mean, are you stupid? What are you doing here? And they said, well, no one gave you a book about this. Everything has a law to it, and you do not stand on corners selling illegal drugs, showing up every day. This is a job. That's stupidity. And I just give it to them like that. And then the next thing is, well, what can I do? Hold up. I'm on the board at the Y. I'll get right back to you. Oh, I got a job for you. I have this for you, because they don't know the first step to get out of their situation.
I think that